I believe we're on live.
Good evening.
Um, yeah, go ahead then.
Good evening. I am so excited. I am so excited. I am so excited for another amazing Wednesday night Bible study. Welcome to week 10 of our Bible study series, Returning Home, as we continue our journey through Dr. Lisa Allen McLaurin's A Womanist Theology of Worship. I know you have been having an amazing time just like me. Tonight, we find ourselves arriving at chapter 8, The Unbroken Circle. At its core, this chapter asks us a challenging question. Has Black liturgy become divested from justice? And if so, what exactly does that mean for us? Dr. Allen McLaurin reminds us that if our understanding of the Gospels centers solely on personal salvation, and an individual relationship with God, while we somehow exclude communal justice and righteousness, then we have terribly missed the message of Jesus' ministry altogether. Tonight, our facilitators have some good news for us. They will explore with us what it means to build a liturgy that reflects wholeness through the lens of womanist theology, African cosmology, and the full embodiment of heart, soul, mind, and strength. I'm so excited tonight to learn, especially from pastors Reginald Williams and William Marcus Small, who will facilitate tonight's teaching. And I now turn it over to them.
What's up, man?
What's good, baby? You know what it is, man. Back in the saddle, baby.
Back in the saddle. Here we go.
You know how this goes for us, man. It's good to be with you tonight.
Yes, sir.
Uh, Good to share with you. And we look forward to doing some exciting things and having a good conversation as we talk about tonight the unbroken circle. What that means, the unbroken circle, and that what Dr. Allen Glorin has done in this space is she begins to have conversation where she talks about the connection or the circle not being unbroken, the connection between liturgy and understanding liturgy and recognizing the call and the responsibility of the Black church in terms of its justice, social justice, and how that connects. And so it's an exciting conversation. It's a conversation that almost kind of continues from what you and Dr. Mitchell were talking about last week, as we recognize that for us in this country, as Africans in America, our worship has been intricately linked from the beginning to a social justice bent, to a social justice lens, that we understand those connections in terms of what happens with us socially, what happens with us economically, in terms of our empowerment, as we talk about being a community, how we understand and recognize all of those things are a part of the worship experience, which then informs the liturgy in which we operate in, the order of service, if you will. And so in that space of liturgy, we have a responsibility. Those who create liturgy, those who worship in liturgy, those of us who understand it, recognize that we have a responsibility, that Dr. Allen says, to make sure that justice is included and justice is a part of what it is we do and how we operate and function in our worship spaces. That the Black church has and has always had a role in liberation movements and in those particular spaces, and how we show up to present that at all times. And the challenge is, here's the question, Dr. Williams, here's the question, is the Black church continuing to do and operate and function in those spaces as needed, or have we kind of missed that and moved into different kinds of modalities? And as a result, the second part of that question is, have we lost our luster? So that's the conversation, our luster and power. I say luster, shine, because luster could be a different thing, but our power ultimately and how we move forward. So that's what we're talking about tonight, man. that's where we are.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on it?
So it's interesting that we're having this conversation tonight. I was actually just got out the car and was listening to a interview between Dr. Frank Thomas and Dr. Charles Edward Booth. God bless his memory, I'll say.
Oh, sure.
And what Dr. Thomas asked Dr. What's
Booth.
this? Dr. Booth, yes. What he asked Dr. Booth was, over these 54 years of preaching at that time, what were some of the things that you could say? And Dr. Booth said that he was disappointed in some of the preaching at the time. This can't be what, 4, 5 years ago.
Yeah,
Something like that.
I saw that. I saw it and scrolled by it. I didn't get a chance to
Yeah,
watch it, but I
yeah.
can't wait to listen to it.
And he talked about the fact that so many of our churches have become, watch this, about praise and prosperity, but not prophetic ministry, right? And he
Man,
talked
can I hear
about,
him saying that? I can
oh
hear
my
him
God,
saying
with
that.
the deep voice that he
Right,
had.
right.
So many of our churches have been about praise and prosperity. That was kind of
Right,
good. I
right.
had him kind of
That
down.
was good. That was good.
Ancestor speaking through, right?
Yes,
And so as you consider that question, man, do we still equate Black church with justice, liturgy with justice? Go back to something that me and Dr. Mitchell talked about last week about what Amos Brown told me and Earl.
Mm,
Me and Earl Fisher told us that when they came to town, people said it was only 10% of the people that followed King.
right,
Amos Brown said no, it was only 3%,
right.
right? And
Yeah, it was
so
even
even
less than
from
that.
then to now, we got to look at what the is the ethos,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
Still connected, right?
Right.
And if not, what, like you said, what does that mean for us? And what does it mean for how we craft a future of the church, right?
Right. Right.
And I think it's important to remember, even as we craft this, right? I think it's important to remember that numbers don't equate to impact,
Say it, sir. You
right?
you just took it. You just took it from my mouth because I was about to say the same thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Numbers don't equate to impact,
Right.
but impact can affect numbers. Ooh, that was good.
Right. Right.
You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right. Authenticity. Right.
Yeah,
Authenticity matters.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Authenticity
And
matters.
I think, I mean, you use that word. I think that word of authenticity is at the basis of justice,
Hmm.
right? As
Hmm.
in terms of justice with one another and justice with in terms of systems and all of that type stuff. So yeah, man, let's holler about it. And this matters because we're gonna look at a couple of things tonight. Not sure if we're gonna get through all of them because y'all know how we roll. We get going. But looking at this whole piece around the unbroken circle, looking at it from a perspective of faith, of our formation, of our foundation. I'm sorry. What does it mean for the future? What does it mean for our formation? And then how do we move forward? Right.
Hmm. Hmm.
Those would be some of the big ticket items that we try to check off tonight.
Yeah.
Um, but because it's Wednesday night and it's International Black People Bible Study night, and somebody gonna ask, where is it in the void?
Right. So when we talk about the wood. See, when we talk about the wood, see,
The void.
but the challenge for us is to recognize that the ritual, the liturgy, needs to be authentic and deliberately connected because God is not impressed. To your point, God is not impressed with empty ritual.
Absolutely.
Right. We get wrapped up in the whole idea of what takes place in the doing and the presentation, right?
Yeah.
We get
Yeah.
caught up in the presentation, which can become performative,
Yep.
right? And when it becomes performative, it can literally be performative but have no power, right?
Absolutely.
And so it speaks to a space where it doesn't have the space of power. And so because we don't want y'all to think that we making this up or we beating up the church, what we telling you In the words of the movie Malcolm X, I'm telling you God's word, not no hustle.
Not no hustle.
Right. So in Micah, the sixth chapter, in the 6 to 8 verses, it says, with what shall I come before the Lord and bow down before the exalted God? Shall I come before him with burnt offerings, with calves a year old? Will the Lord be pleased with thousands of rams, with 10,000 rivers of olive oil? Shall I offer my firstborn for my transgression, the fruit of my body for the sin of my soul? He has shown you, O mortal, what is good, and what does the Lord require of you? To act justly and to love mercy and to walk humbly with your God. And so the whole idea of what the prophet is saying, it says that the question becomes for the people. They say, what is it that is good enough? What is it that we can do to demonstrate that God understands how committed we are? What is it that we need to give? What is it that we need to offer so that God will believe and receive our offering, to understand that we are committed? And just like human beings, they get more and more dramatic. Right. Yeah. So they say, well, look, shall I come with just burnt, or shall I come with burnt offerings? Can I come with new calves that are just a year old? Will that do it? And they say, will the Lord be pleased if I sacrifice 10,000 rams? Right. If I sacrifice 10,000 rams, if I give 10,000 rams or 10,000 rivers of oil, if I just continue to pour olive oil, and then it goes even further. If I offer my firstborn, right? If I offer my firstborn child for my transgressions, right? For the very fruit of my loins, for my body, for the sin of my soul. What is it that God would say? I understand and I believe that you are sincere about this connection, right? But the response of God is that I have told you what to do. I have told you what is good, right? That the Lord requires that you would act justly, right? Love mercy and walk humbly with your God. Right, that the whole idea is that the performance, right, can be empty, right, but the real test is, how do you treat each other? How do you operate in terms of who is in need? How do you function in terms of how you treat one another, and how you understand community, and how you engage in the process of justice for those who are the least and the last, and those who are left out?
Which is absolutely antithetical to empire.
Absolutely,
right? Which is absolutely antithetical to the ways that we've been taught, that what God loves is all of this other stuff, right?
Right.
So as you were reading that, Mark, one of my mind went to another prophet, Isaiah. We're gonna talk about him later on, but in Isaiah the first chapter, right? Listen to this, along the same lines, Isaiah the first chapter, beginning at verse 12, says, "When you come to appear before me, who asked this from your hand? Trample my courts no more. Bringing offerings is futile. Incense is an abomination to me.
My God.
New moon and Sabbath and calling of convocation. I cannot endure solemn assemblies with iniquity." Woo! Watch this. Your new moons and your appointed festivals, my soul hates. This is God's talking. They have become a burden to me. I am weary of bearing them. When you stretch out your hands, I will hide my eyes from you.
Wait a minute.
Even though you make many prayers, I will not listen. Your hands are full of blood. Wash yourselves. Make yourselves clean. Remove the evil of your doings from before my eyes. Here it is. Cease to do evil. Learn to do good. Seek justice. Rescue the oppressed. Defend the orphan. Plead for the widow. Then he says, "Come now, let's argue it out," says the Lord. Right. So this centralized and seminal thrust of how we treat one another, of justice, is the crux of what it is that we're talking about in terms of liturgy and faith. Because watch this, liturgy inside and outside of the church, right? It's not just what we're talking about in terms of order of worship, but how our worship is ordered when we leave the sanctuary.
And the whole idea of reminding us, right, what our connection is to God, what our connection is to community, and what that means and how that is lived out.
Yes.
Right. Dr. Michael Bell, justice is the way God keeps courage accountable. Right. That how we keep what also Cornell West says, what love looks like in public, what love looks like on public display. But I'm gonna give you another one. I'm gonna give you another one because since this is Bible study, I'm telling you God's word, not no hustle. Amos chapter 5, right? Verses 21 and 24, right? When you said Isaiah, I was thinking the same thing. I despise your religious festivals. Right? Your assemblies are a stench to me.
Yes.
Right? Even though you bring me burnt offerings and grain offerings, I will not accept them. Though you bring choice fellowship offerings, though you bring the best, I will not accept them. I will have no regard for them. Away with the noise of your songs. I will not listen to the music of your harps, but let justice roll on like a river, righteousness like a never failing stream. Right? Yeah. So the whole idea, right? The whole idea speaks to God is not impressed with the performance if there is no authentic connection, right? To understanding relationship and connection to help heal, deliver, and restore God's people.
The priority is not performance.
Right.
And what we have done is prioritized performance. Watch this. Right. We've prioritized performance, even masking it as quote unquote justice stuff.
Say more. Help me with that.
I'm trying not to.
No, don't do it. Do it, man. Do it, man.
We have. So Dr. Fisher and I were talking a while ago, and we talked about how, in some senses, prophetic has become sexy.
Right.
Justice has become sexy. Especially around the time of George Floyd, all of these types of pieces, right?
Right.
And there are those, and this is not a knock, because we want you to come on in. So it's not a knock. Right. But when you use it as a manipulative tool and not an authentic tool and not an authentic expression, right? To just call some names or whatever, as opposed to what prophetic and justice is about, which is bringing in an alternative reality.
Right.
That is when problems happen, because as soon as somebody gets back on top, now we're going back to talking about something else. No, what is the thrust of what biblical, especially if we're talking about Jesus has come through the line of the prophets, right? That means the ethos of justice, the ethos of and you, even if you think about some of the scriptures with regard to Jesus and justice in terms of right relationships, it ain't got nothing to do with, I mean, shucks, his first sermon. Spirit of the Lord, the Spirit, this same Spirit that make us buck. The Spirit, is upon us. To do what? The poor. Right? Healthcare.
Oppressed. Sight to the blind.
All of these different types of pieces. That's what spiritual growth looks like. Right? And sometimes this is a whole nother sermon for another day. Yes, Michael Bell, justice must be embodied, but this is a whole nother sermon for another day. I think too often we become Paulinians rather than Christians.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? And because that's a whole nother subject for another day.
Right.
But yeah, so bringing that to bear in terms of how it is that we live beyond the sanctuary, live beyond and live as worship.
Right.
I remember Dean Kenny used to say, he said, hallelujah ain't the highest praise.
Right.
Highest praise is how you live your life.
Right.
Yeah. And how we engage with one another. Go ahead, sorry.
And we have to know, right? It becomes our responsibility, right? You recall the thing I shared this afternoon. We have to understand what we are doing, right? We have to know what we're doing in the liturgy and why we do it,
And why we do it.
Because we do it with such rote, right?
Yep.
Dr. Jeremiah Wright told that story. I'm sure you've heard it before. He talked about that worship service he was in and that lady who was leading worship, right? And she being extra, right? She getting up every time she got somebody coming up, she got to make some kind of announcement or whatever. And she gets up and she says, I don't know who this lady is, but she gonna come in her own way. I don't know what her assignment is in the service, but we gonna let Sister Gloria Patri come on up at this time, right? Right? It's like, no, baby, the Gloria Patri is
the Gloria Patri.
After offering. You know what I'm saying? But
I heard that.
Right. My point is like, but we don't know what we doing.
Yeah, man.
That's your pastor. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? But we don't know what we doing. Like, people don't know why they're doing what they're doing or what it means. Yeah. Right. And so we have a responsibility to really lay out and talk about, like, and explain, right? So that we understand the connections that help us and empower us to do what we do, not just go through the motion, right? Because then we find ourselves, because what I was sharing this afternoon, I said, because if we make it much more about performance, right? Then what happens is I can plug in spaces of performance, right, to get a response. Yep. But it doesn't mean I'm doing it authentically.
That's right.
Right? In song, in preaching, in prayer, right? I can plug certain things in, right? If I'm praying and I talk about the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, somebody gonna be like, boy, that boy praying. It might be inauthentic as can be. You know what I'm saying? But because I've connected the certain points and places, people begin to think somehow or another, or it translates to an authentic sense of connection or a sense of space in worship. Dr. Michael Elam calls it performative theatrics. I mean, it is what it is and how it operates in that particular space.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man.
You know? So what you want to go?
I want to say, so you want to go to the next one?
Yeah.
That next one is Isaiah 58, and this is particularly this is particularly
and let me just say, real quick, you have to appreciate Isaiah, because Isaiah really does say what's on Isaiah's mind. Like, you really do have to appreciate it. Isaiah comes for the jugular. All right, so go ahead. I'm sorry.
He comes for it all. Isaiah 58, once again, verses 3 through 12. Starts off like this. The people say, why do we fast but you don't see, God? Why humble ourselves but you don't notice? Look, you serve your own interests on your fast day and oppress all. Oh, no, I'm sorry. God says this.
Right.
Look, God says, you serve your own interest on your fast day and oppress all your workers.
Right.
Lord have mercy. Right. We ain't got out of verse 3 yet.
Right. Right.
Verse 4. Look, you fast only to quarrel and fight and to strike with a wicked fist. Such fasting as you do today will not make your voice heard on high. Right. You can cut out all the chocolate, all the soda, all the red meat you want.
All of the Lenten things. All of the Lenten things. Right.
And that you're going to pick up on day 41.
Right. You're going to pick back up. Right.
Is such the fast that I choose, a day to humble oneself? Is it to bow down in the head like a bulrush and to lie in sackcloth and ashes? Will you call this a fast, a day acceptable to the Lord? Verse 6. Is this not the fast I choose? Here it is. To loose the bonds of injustice, to undo the thongs of the yoke, to let the oppressed go free, and to break every yoke. Is it not to share your bread with the hungry, bring the homeless poor into your house? When you see the naked, cover them, and not hide yourself from your own kin. Then your light shall break forth like the dawn. And your healing shall spring up quickly. Your vindicator shall go before you. The glory of the Lord shall be your rear guard. Then you will call and the Lord will answer. You will cry and the Lord will say, here I am. If you remove the yoke from among you, the pointing of the finger, the speaking of evil, if you offer your food to the hungry, satisfy the needs of the afflicted, then your light shall rise in the darkness.
That's the immigrant. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
That's it right there. The Lord will guide you continually and satisfy needs in parched places. Ancient ruins will be rebuilt. This is my part. You shall raise up the foundations of many generations. You shall be called the repairer of the breach.
Yeah.
The restorer of streets to live in. That is when we're talking about liturgy, when we're talking about ritual, when we're talking about all of these pieces, even as we talk about in Lent. This is what it's about. And just let me venture out just for a second. And when we talk about this whole piece of fasting during Lent, right? What's his name? Celebration of Disciplines. Richard Foster says, fasting helps us to reveal what we have allowed to control us.
Right. Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
So yes, it could be food, but it also can be our benefiting from those things in society where we are benefiting from burdening others. So he says, loosing the thongs of injustice, right? We become part and parcel of systems that we say we against, yet we benefit from.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So
and what I said to my noonday Bible study people, I said, one of the things that we may need to do that we have not really done, because like you said, in the Lenten season, we call ourselves avoiding certain things, but there's no process of how that has allowed us for our faith to deepen.
Yes.
Right. And so maybe there needs to be a Lent review.
How about that?
Right, like almost like we were growing up, right? Like we were growing up. We would come home. We would sit at the dinner table. My father's always think was, "Well, what did you learn today?"
Yep.
Right. Like, so as a result of going through the process, as a result of the Lenten fast, as a result of the separation, as a result of the space of reflection. How has your faith deepened? How have you moved to certain spaces of reflection and understanding? What do you understand you need to change? What did you learn? Right? Did you say, well, I learned I can live without it, or I learned that I spent too much time doing this, or I learned that this isn't important as I thought it was. But there has to be, right, a sense of deepening in your own development and your own faith, not just going back to it and say, well, the season is over.
That's right.
Because that's performance. That's performative. Right? That's performative.
What could this, whatever we do during Lent, how can that become then a lifestyle shift?
Right.
That's the deepening.
Right.
But
see, what Jamie Eady just said is, but eliminating meat and chocolate is easier than actually going deeper.
It's much easier.
Right.
And not only is it easier, but it speaks to the surface level stuff as opposed to the substantive.
Right.
That we are so ingrained and that we're so ingrained with in this society. Thank you for that, Jamie.
Yeah. So the fast and sackcloth are rejected ultimately by God. God is not impressed, right?
That's
like,
right.
we always say it, right? We always say it, but to really understand it is scary. God, the Lord knows my heart. Right. The Lord knows my heart, right? So even in worship, right, the Lord knows our hearts. Even in how we present, God knows our hearts in those spaces. So worship.
Can I give one more thing as we go into this true worship? Because this is a justice piece, and it's a piece that's going to lead to authentic worship, right? The woman who broke the alabaster box.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
All the disciples talking about, you could have used this money. This is the empire that is in them, right? Jesus defends her.
Yeah.
That becomes a justice, right? And so she does it, and she does it regardless of who's around, who approves, or who gives applause, right? And so the Jesus's defense of that authenticity is a form of us digging into what justice is.
Right. Because the need is so great. Right. Because the need is so great. And here's the other thing. And then we got to move. I know we got to move.
Yep.
Here's the other thing. God says, let's think about this for a second. Why does God reject it? Why does God say, I don't need that, I don't want that? And here's my premise on it. Because to perform it right, without meaning is bad public relations. God says, you make me look bad when you act this way in the space, but you treat other people without the same kind of justice and understanding, right? He said, that's bad PR. You making me look bad.
You claiming you work for me.
Right. That's bad public relations. You're making me look bad. I don't want it. I don't even want it because it makes me complicit, right, in the process. Right? I said, no, this is not how this needs to go.
It's like going to the store and they got a thing out that says, such and such and such is on sale, and you go to get it and they ain't got nothing. It's performance.
Right.
They ain't got it.
Right. So that whole idea about what authentic worship looks like. What something hit you.
There's nothing in stock.
I think there's a word from here. I think there's a word in there.
You show something based on performance, but there's nothing in stock.
No. Oh,
I'm sorry.
The shelves are empty, Reverend.
The shelves are empty, Reverend. It's a show.
Right,
Mike. It's a barren fig tree, sir. That's in leaf.
Wow.
I'm sorry.
Listen, yeah, because y'all know y'all know how this goes. Yeah. So to operate in this space of authentic worship is not to get wrapped up in the spaces of piety or self-righteousness, right? But to operate in spaces of what does it mean to truly connect, right? And so Matthew chapter 6, verses 1 through 13. Says, be careful not to practice your righteousness in front of others to be seen by them. If you do, you will have no reward from your Father in heaven. So when you give to the needy, do not announce it with trumpets as the hypocrites do in the synagogues and on the streets to be honored by others. Truly, I tell you, they have received their reward in full. But when you give to the needy, do not let your left hand know what your right hand is doing, so that your giving may be in secret. Then your Father who sees what is done in secret will reward you. And when you pray, do not be like the hypocrites, for they love to pray standing in the synagogues and on the street corners to be seen by others. But truly, I tell you, they have received their reward in full. But when you pray, go into your room, close the door, and pray to your Father who is unseen. Then your Father who sees what is done in secret will reward you. Yeah. And when you pray, do not keep babbling like the pagan, for they think that they will be heard because of their many words. But don't be like them, for your Father knows what you need before you ask it.
Well, you ask it.
Right? So that whole idea, and so when we wrap our minds around that whole thought, right? It is not that, here it is not that public prayer, right? And public charity, right, is necessarily inauthentic. It's not automatically inauthentic. But what Jesus is saying is take your private moment, your private sentiment. If you do it in public, make it the same energy as your private sentiment. Right? Because in your private sentiment, when ain't nobody watching, that's the most honest kind of prayer and honest kind of giving you can have. Right? That's the space where it ain't no fanfare. It's just you and the divine, right? Making that connection, right? It ain't about who watching. Right? Your syntax don't have to be correct. It ain't about flowery words. It ain't about how poetic you operate. When you need connection,
you got to split verbs.
Right. Right. In those private spaces, right, is when the authentic and the genuine come out. Right. Yeah. Some of our most powerful prayer moments have been when it's just been us and the divine, when it's just been us and God. Right. And so Jesus is saying it ain't about all that stuff that's done in public. Take that same energy in your private space. Right. And use it and operate in that kind of idea. Operate in that kind of space.
And again, in this kind of section where we're dealing with it, remember we are linking and locking together the authenticity in liturgy and worship for the facts, for the very sake of us being empowered
Mm-hmm.
authentically to move beyond the worship moment to live worship.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I think that's. So
Right.
the other one talks about, Mark, after praying piety is the Lord's Prayer. Right.
Right. Right.
Same. The next thing you learned after you learned John 3:16 was was the Lord's Prayer. Let me read it. Not like you don't know it, but I'm gonna give you a little more context to it. Starting at verse 5, it says,
Yeah.
when verse 5 of Matthew chapter 6, whenever you pray, do not be like the hypocrites. They love to stand and pray, da 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 da. But whenever you pray, go in your room, shut the door. Just what you talked about, who's in secret, right? When
Right.
you're praying, don't heap up the empty phrase, like you already said. Pray in this way: Our Father, which art in
Mm.
heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day daily bread. You just read most of that, right?
Right.
Um,
Live
and
our
the
day.
thing that she talks about, the thing that is lifted up is uh once she lifts up one, I want to give you another text if you don't have it.
Mm.
Is the communal language that is used in it. There are no personal pronouns in this piece, right? This is
Mm.
literally a prayer of Ubuntu.
Mm.
I am because we are.
Mm.
Because we are, therefore I am. So guess what?
Mm.
If somebody else is hungry, that means I'm hungry.
Right. It
If
is the
somebody else
collective
is naked,
language.
that means I'm naked. There's a collective look at this, right?
Right. Right.
And so again, going back to what you said, generosity without just motives is hollow, right?
Right. Yeah.
And yeah, so that's the first piece. The second piece is a book. If you don't have it, you need to pick it up. It's on Kindle as well, called The Politics of Jesus by Oprah Hendricks.
Went
And in
through
the
it
book, what Hendricks says is that the Lord's Prayer calls on us to treat the people's needs as holy.
as holy.
Treat the
Right.
people's needs as if you are holding scripture, because you are,
Right.
right?
Right.
Treat the people's needs. And guess what? You one of the people. You're not above the people.
Mm.
You're not separate from the people, right?
Right.
The
Right.
communal language, the communal kind of ethos of the Lord's Prayer is essential. And yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it speaks to how we understand um the, all right, I'm gonna say this. It 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 responds, right? And it gives the response to those who talking about why you always talking about this stuff,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right?
Which goes back to priority and not
Right,
performing.
right,
Yeah.
right. And what we don't talk about, Reg, is the psychological work that needs to be done in
Mm,
order to be free
mm, mm.
and to
Say more.
recognize that you are free, right? That those who worship, right, the worship in spirit and in truth, right? Who the Son sets free, right? Those ideas where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. That this space speaks to a sense of freedom, right? But to
Mm.
be caught up, in a sense, because of social structure. So you can't be free. So as a result, I get uncomfortable when you start talking about blackness.
Yes, sir. How many times have we been at church and we preaching liberation, we're preaching freedom,
Right,
and black folks start getting nervous and
right,
send you a note later on. Well, Pastor, I don't know if you should
right,
be thought. No, I'm adding more to it.
right. And without understanding, and here it is, without really understanding that this this thing of justice didn't start with Africans in America and the Hush Harbor, right? We are continuing the
You're
legacy
continuing.
that Jesus operated with in terms of the injustice that Jesus experienced in his own time,
Mm-hmm.
right? And what the people of the sacred text, right, experienced throughout the whole thing,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so it really it's a byproduct. It's not political. It's really biblical. It manifests itself in biblical space, in political spaces.
It's all of that.
Right. And
You know
I guess
saying?
that's what I'm trying to say. It's
Yeah.
all of it. It's all of it. It's not separate. It is as engaging, right? Because what has happened is, and we haven't talked about this part yet, the white evangelical idea is based on personal salvation. It's based on a personal relationship, right? So it's about what you do so that you can get into heaven, right? And it is deliberately devoid of community and
Which is really
recognizing
Americanity and not Christianity.
Right. It is
The
the
American
American
civil
idea.
religion.
Right. It is the
Yeah.
American idea of it is the mirror.
Exceptionalism. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, man.
It is the mirror of it. Right. So as those who are a part of a different story and experience a different narrative, right, we understand the roots, right, of the practices of African retention and justice-centered liturgy in this process. We understand what that means. We understand those connections. Now there are those who would try to remove themselves from those spaces, right? Or to say that those spaces no longer matter, right? And so so for Dr. Allen, this unbroken circle, right, is liturgy and justice that continues to remind and reinforce this narrative that we must, this sojourn, this calling that we have to speak out to those particular spaces.
And I think what's important, I said it, I think we hinted at it last week, but I want to reiterate it. That unbroken circle, that imagery is so important. But I think what's important to note is that when we look at this linkage of this circle not being unbroken between worship and justice and it all being intertwined in the same, what we also have to remember, really, really deep down inside of us, is that this is, like you said already, this is ancestral stuff coming through us. But it's also in a sense, I'm trying to get the words that I want to say. It is not about uh, this unbroken justice and worship piece is what is to be lived out. I think that's the best way I can say that. Right. It is not, it's not a either or, it's not a this or that. It's not like it's
not bifurcated.
It's not a gift, it's a given.
Right.
It's not bifurcated. Yeah. I want to say something else. It's just not coming, but it's the thread, it's the plumb line that is running through all of this worship, justice, all of those type right relationships, all of that, as we've seen scripturally, as we see in Jesus, as we see in the book and other books. It's not coming out like I wanted to, but
no, I think I get it. Has the tradition remained, Reg?
You know what?
This is the hard part of the conversation.
Yeah. So I'd say yes and no. The body keeps score.
Yeah.
And so sometimes you got a case of what Real called it, you got a case of the can't help it.
Right.
And so the body keeps score. It is also true, two things can be true at the same time. I think it's also true that we've been seduced away from authenticity into alien forms of expression.
Say that again, bro. Say that again, bro.
It is true that that the tradition lies within us.
Right.
It's
Right.
also true that we have been seduced into alien ways of expression that alienate our authentic expression of worship.
Right.
Right? I don't know if I said like I said the first time. And
No,
so
yeah.
that's why
Yeah.
here's what's coming back for me, right?
We have been
And so
convinced. We
that's
have
why
been
even when
convinced it's
we
not good enough.
engage, that's when we engage in this authentic worship, we got to be clear about, like you said earlier, why we're doing what we're doing and how it's linked to who it is that we are.
Right.
Right? So you can't be discriminatory in worship and then go against discrimination when you get outside.
Right.
Right?
Right. Right.
We said it last week. You can't argue for a living wage when you ain't paying a living wage where you at. Right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that's what I'm talking about in terms of this through and thread line, this through
Mm-hmm.
line, this plumb line, about how we live it and how these practices wind up engaging in the policies with which we try to engage.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that makes sense?
Yeah. 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 I think it is. I think what we are calling this journey in this study is what is the mandate, and that is a return home.
A return home.
A return. It is a real return. I think, and I know this is being recorded and it's going to be on social media spaces. I think what we need to come to terms with is that, and we all have to come to terms with it in some way, shape, or form in our lives and other places in our lives, right? We
Mhm.
always, all of us have loved somebody that didn't love us. All of us wanted a job that we didn't get. All of us have, dreams or aspirations for our children that they took another path, right? All of those things, right? We have had to learn those spaces of disappointment in reality. I think it is time. I think where we are as people of faith, I'm talking about people, Black folk in particular, Africans in this country, we have to come to the realization that we are not on the team. We have to come to the realization that the plan is never to include you and to constantly and perpetually keep you on the fringe. And the salvation in going in that direction is re-identifying and connecting with our own spirit and understanding how that articulates. I did not say religion. I said our own spirit, and tapping into that space to understand that is where we will come to understand our power and be good if
And be
nobody
good
else
with it.
understands it. And be
Be
good if
good with
nobody
it.
else grabs it.
I think I used this illustration last week about what Toni Morrison said. She said, I moved to the edge,
Mm-hmm.
all the way to the left,
Right,
and
right,
claimed it as central
right.
and waited for y'all to come over. And if you don't
Mm-hmm.
come, that's all right too.
Right.
But you know what else you're talking about, Mark?
Mm.
This is a whole nother Bible study, but I want to throw this word out there. You're talking about maroonage.
Right, right. Baba Asa. Yes, sir. Yes,
You're
sir.
talking about maroonage,
Yeah,
where in
yeah,
maroon
yeah.
communities,
Right,
folks intentionally went and built their own communities
right.
and had everything there and had also the ability to defend their communities,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Right, right,
So Dismal Swamp was one, right?
right,
All of these
right.
different types. And so
Corey
I think,
Monty in Jamaica. Yeah.
yeah, and
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
so I think looking at principles of maroonage, right,
Mm-hmm.
and bringing them forth to um, bringing those principles to bear in our communities can help not only with liturgy, but how we live, right? And in your
Mm-hmm.
word, be good with it.
Right, right,
Good with
right.
it.
To be good with it and to know that your approval and God's approval is enough. which is what God was trying to tell the people in the text. Be good
already.
You good already, and be good being good with me. You know what I'm saying? Be good with being good with me, and watch what happens as a result of that. Right? And over and over again, we find ourselves as human beings chasing what we believe is power, what we believe is important, what we believe is altering and life changing, and removing ourselves from the stuff that actually saves us.
Yeah.
That's real.
So what's interesting, man? We didn't get through everything we want to talk about, but we hit everything we were supposed to talk
about. Right.
We had foundation, we had future, we had formation.
Right.
In terms of identity. That's interesting.
Our assignment is do overview. right. How we get there is how that works. But our assignment is to do the overview and to challenge. And let me say this. I'm saying this for the Outliers Collective. Much of what we're trying to do, and Reg, please back this up or support it or tell me shut up, one or the other.
Shut up.
No. But what we are trying to do is enlighten in a way and expose the information where both individuals and collective churches that are operating under these pastors, churches who are watching, and individuals who are viewing us, that we would do just what we just finished talking about, that you would understand that you would have permission to be your authentic self, that you have permission to work, to worship, to serve, to celebrate your Africanness without apology. That it does not mean you have to do that in a closet. It doesn't mean you got to do that, on a Sunday only. It doesn't mean that you have to do that in certain circles or just in February or just on June 16th, right? But that you would have those spaces to stand in your authentic being and even understand your connection to the divine through your African spirit, through your Africanness, right? And like, again, I'm not talking religion. Religion is a pattern, right? That you articulate your spirituality, right? But your spirit is understanding and recognizing who you are, and how you demonstrate that is a fuller space. So I think that's what we're trying to do as the Outlier Collective, right? And if I can even go further just a little bit, I think what we're saying is that we don't always see that enough in our churches.
In our churches, in our communities, in our homes,
in our politics.
Our politics. Going back to what you just talked about, allow a gentle amendment, in that you talked about beyond religion. It's religion as popularly defined.
Right.
Because remember, we talked about that definition of religion that comes from religio,
right,
which means that to that to which you are bound,
right,
which is a whole different understanding of what religion is, and
really
what you're talking about.
Right.
You know what I'm
religio. Right.
Religio, right? That to which it's really what you're talking about, because it's beyond denominationalism, it's beyond interfaith, it's beyond. I remember Pastor Wright when doing a Million Man March, there was a mentor of his, who was brilliant, who was upset that he was going because Farrakhan called it, right?
Yeah.
Right. Rev asked the question. He said, what's the most important sociological piece of your life? The guy said that I'm a Christian. Rev said, okay, let me ask the question again. What is the most, and I'm paraphrasing, I can't say it like he said it. What's
Right,
the most
right,
important
right. I remember.
Orthodox piece of your life? He said that and so Rev said, so using that kind of
Let,
lens.
let me share this comment by again our sister Jamie Edie. And I think she hits this spot on. She's doing with whiteness. And Lisa Allen says this in the book, right?
She does, yeah.
And she says, I'm not sure that we understand the difference. And she says, we, meaning loosely we. But
Yeah.
We connect what is holy with what is white. And so when we talk about Black, folk can't wrap their mind around it because it doesn't equate to them in some spaces.
Yeah.
Right. Imitation is what warrants your sense of holiness. Imitation is what warrants your sense of becoming. And so man. We had to wait to get to the second to last one before me and you could get together. But as always, we do what we do, baby. As always, do what we do. So we're gonna turn it over. We got just a few minutes. We're gonna turn it over back to our
were there any questions, Dr. Only, Dr. Danny?
Administrative team.
Administrative.
That's what
Lady Eloise
said. That's what Lady Eloise. The rest of my administrative team.
My administrative.
Yeah.
Dr. Small did a great job of fielding the comments and the questions through the chat. There were no additional questions that you all didn't answer, but thank you so much for your wisdom on tonight.
Mm-hmm. And thank all of those who participated and commented, Martin Sand and Jamie Edie and Dr. Michael Elam and all those others, Julie Hoffman and all of those who shared. We really, and that's why I'm starting to get in trouble and start mentioning names, but thank all of those who commented and shared in the conversation.
Good.
Any announcements, thoughts, dreams, hopes, fears, whatever needs to go down? I'll just say real quick, this is shameless plug, outliers, y'all. Just pray. Women's Day is going to be here at the New Calvary Church this weekend. We have Sister Reverend Dr. Kenya Gray from Emmanuel Baptist going to be with us. So if you are in the 757 area, come hang out. Kenya Gray is a powerful preacher. She is somebody's preacher. So come and hear, be blessed. Sister Frances Ferguson's memorial service and celebration will be Friday night at 6:30. This Friday coming at 6:30. So we're going to celebrate Sister Frances. She is the mother of Deacon Carlos Adams. So we continue to pray for that.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Get Los my best, man.
Yeah, will indeed. But we thank you for sharing with us. Just continue to pray for the New Calvary family in this season.
What chapter in Mark was I reading from? I was reading from Mark 14, I believe, with the woman with the alabaster box, but I think there's another. If you're talking about the Lord's Prayer, that was in Matthew.
Matthew 6, 1 through.
Yep.
Yep.
Dr. Danny, it's on you.
I'm so excited. This has been an amazing, wonderful time of learning. I have learned so much this evening. Just when I think I've reached my capacity for how much I could learn on these Wednesday nights, I learn even more. And so we are so excited about all that has transpired on this evening.
Dr.
We
Danny,
also want to announce that Dr. Ebony Only
you guys.
is preaching this Sunday at Peace Baptist Church. And so we want to invite you to please support the woman of God as she brings the word at Peace Baptist Church under the amazing prophetic leadership of the illustrious Pastor Michael Bell. We want to thank Pastors Reggie Williams and Pastor William Marcus Small for guiding us through this wonderful and powerful conversation on tonight. We covered a lot this evening, from the differences between tradition and traditionalism, to the ways that our liturgy must affirm the full spiritual space of African American life and experience, to really sitting back and reflecting on this idea that Jesus said, I came that you would have life and have it full. The cross is not just a call to glorify suffering, it is a sign of risk, the risk of choosing liberation and the power of an empty tomb. As we reflect this week, we want to invite you to consider the questions that our facilitators raised for reflection this evening. We want to invite you to specifically think about what practices in our worship spaces do we continue simply because we've always done it that way? And where might we be restricting the very wholeness that God intends for all people?